What's going on, everybody? It's your boy T Danzy. You are now tuned in to Get Ready.
Everything goes nothing goes. Bag it and flip it, whatever. It's a DBS sound. Wait for the breakdown. Perfect.
Everyone lift up, get right, get hype, head nod, bounce if you feel vibes. It's time to make move, make do whatever I got. I'ma give you, wish you a better life. Haters always checking, making sure my level's right, but I'm making sure my max is right, kilo tight. Attacking the mic, not underestimated like this a new day. I'm broke, time to make this money right.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Get Right Then podcast. I am your host, T Danzy. Today, I got my homie, but my mentor. I don't call too many people mentor. I don't like giving too many people credit, but this is my dog, man. Tony, man. Tony, how you doing today, my brother?
What's going on? How you doing, man? Glad to be here. Glad to be on the couch, with you. Well, it's a good spot.
I know, man. Nah, man, it's crazy, man. I talked to Tony about this a while ago, man, because we both been doing podcasts with on each other podcasts. Man, that was when I was when we was at Charlotte Center City. What was that, 2019?
Wow.
Pre-COVID, man. That was a minute ago. So we've been back and forth. But man, I finally got the studio and everything. Get to sit on the couch. It's been a journey, man. So how you feeling though, man? How you feeling today, man? It's cold outside.
It's a little cold outside, Got the sleeves on, but I rep to school, you know what I'm saying? But no, it's I don't know, it was like 80 degrees on one day, and then today it's like 30. I'm like, yo, what's up? So ridiculous. I think that second summer is now gone, so we're officially in fall now. Yeah,
for official, like this is winter weather. I had to pull out the big North Face this morning, man, walking JoJo. It was a beast, man. But, I also got to start out by saying shout out to Sierra, Mrs. Stanford, for letting Tony come do this interview on their anniversary. Clap it. Where's my applause, man? Hold on. Clap it up for them, man. Big anniversary, man. How many years have you been?
This is our third anniversary.
Oh,
Today's
man.
our third anniversary.
Yeah,
so
man. Beautiful wedding. Wife. Beautiful. It was a COVID wedding, too. Beautiful wedding. We had a great time out in Fort Lauderdale, man. Man. Let's start with that, man. How's marriage life been?
Marriage life is cool, man. Like most things in life, you always wish you have done it sooner, to be honest with you, which is weird. Mm-hmm. Like, right? You're like, dang, man, why didn't I do that before? But no, marriage is cool, man. I think the biggest thing, I tell everybody, is about communication. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people, you in college right now, you probably do teams, projects, right? You probably suck as a teammate. Not because you can't do it, you just suck. You don't know why you suck. So I think going through college, whatever teams you're on, things like that, even at work, it helps you get prepared. And then obviously now you're on a team that you can't quit. So you got to work through, whatever the thing is. But if you communicate, it's easy. It's easy.
That's love, man. That's love.
I enjoy it. So 3 years, we just came back from a little vacation. About to get some dinner tonight, But yeah, it's awesome. I definitely would encourage you to find love and then, make it work from there. So.
We find love. I hear that, man. That was up. And I also got to shout out Tony, too, because they play that boy, man. They play that boy, that love at first sight at they wedding, man. What a beautiful moment for your boy, man.
We definitely did play it. I think the ring bearer and flower girl came out to it. So yeah, we did have a couple song changes through the procession, and that was the song that the young kids came through. So.
That's the only wedding I shed a tear at, man. I heard that song, I was like, oh man, okay, I'm not gonna be able to hold it together. This is terrible. So yeah, nah. Beautiful, beautiful reception. I had to bring Tony on here though, man, because Tony does everything. Everything.
A few things.
It's the everything guy.
A few things.
So let's get it started, man. Let's get it started from like the roots, man. So where did you get this mind from? Let's go back to Buffalo, New York, man. Take us back to Buffalo.
From Buffalo, New York. I mean, if you heard of Rick James, you heard of Benny the Butcher, you heard of those guys. Those are some people from my city. So if that means it's a cult city, obviously. When you live somewhere that's cold, you have to be creative as far as, blend it in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot, growing up there. I definitely wouldn't trade it for anything. I tell everybody that's my secret weapon is I'm from Buffalo, New York.
That's dope.
Being there, of course, it exposed me to a lot of things. Always tell people like Buffalo what's interesting about Buffalo is it has probably 6 universities in the city. Like I can go 15 minutes in any direction and I can go to a college campus. That's dope. However, the high school graduation rate for public schools is like 45%. Wow. So majority of people go to high school and don't finish, right? So the lucky ones like me that do make it out, of course, if they make it out of high school and that go into college, we're, I guess, considered, special. or important, so to speak. So you kind of carry that as a badge of honor, and you want to make sure you make everybody proud. So that's kind of what I've been on a mission to do, not only make my parents proud, but everybody who believe in me, slip me $5 here or there, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I always want to make sure that they're proud of me and, have some good stories to tell other people coming behind me. So
For sure, man. So you was in Buffalo, New York, man. So, okay, so, I know you went to school, but why didn't you you said it was 6 universities there. Why didn't you just decide to say, hey, all right, I'll stay home, stay close by? Or not even just Buffalo, just something within state. Like, what made you say, okay, I want to go out of state?
Good question. I didn't. It snows there. We talked about being caught already. Buffalo gets an average of 93.5 inches of snow every year. 93.5 inches of snow. So I definitely didn't want to be in the snow. That was kind of first and foremost. I went to a few college tours while I was in high school, and I wanted to go to a historical black college. So that was kind of on the list. I ended up choosing Alabama A&M University, got a full ride scholarship there, so it was awesome to do that. But I was interested in a couple other historic black colleges. A&T was on the list. Morgan State was on the list. Ultimately, again, A&M had the most money, I think, in my opinion, the better looking campus of those campuses. Campus aesthetics is important because we don't really know what else to judge it on. Also, with it being in Huntsville, Alabama, which is, I think, one of the top 5 cities right now in the U.S. I think it's top 2, actually. But I knew then, which I was scared to say, but I knew then that it would grow into a great city. They also have like a military base there, NASA Space and Rocket Center there. So I knew it would be job opportunities and stuff there for internships. So if I decided I never want to move back to Buffalo, which obviously I didn't, it would be a place where I possibly could live. In this case, like I said, it wasn't eventually home, but I definitely could move back there anytime because the opportunities are there.
Okay. Oh, shout out to Alabama A&M, man.
Go Bulldogs.
They still, at the wedding, everybody bragged about Alabama A&M and how great it is, and how they have the best homecoming, etc., and how I have to see it and they're gonna take me. And as Tony mentioned, they got married 3 years ago, and I still haven't been. So I don't know what happened with it, but I've been waiting for my Alabama A&M homecoming invite so I can go down there and see how great it is. So I'm still looking forward to that.
I got you on the next one. This past one I didn't make it. One of my classmates, he got married. Again, weddings I'm all for weddings, for marriages. He decided to get married on homecoming weekend. So he had a wedding in Destin, Florida. So I only did homecoming like half. I went on Friday night, kind of met all my friends, hung out with them for a little bit, and first thing in the morning I jumped on a flight to Destin. And I think if it wasn't a beach wedding, I might not have went, even though that's my homeboy. But it was just like, it's homecoming, bro. Homecoming. So it was one of those things. But no, I'm glad I was able to do a little bit of homecoming and also make the wedding. So yeah, it was a good weekend. But yeah, I got you this coming year. I got you.
Say less. So Alabama A&M, man. So okay. So before we even get into your major, did you have any taste of like owning your own business, like entrepreneurship at that point? In college?
And not necessarily in college. I would say when I was younger, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So like, I have essays from when I was in high school when I said I want to get my MBA, I want to open my own business. So I remember the same year I ended up getting into grad school, my mentor, he literally randomly sent me a picture of like the first paragraph of my essay. And it literally said, hey, I want to get an MBA and I want to start my own business. So that was always been one of my goals.
That's dope.
I didn't know what I would do or how I would get into like my own business or starting something. But that was always something I wanted to do. I thought it was cool. And I felt like having an MBA at that point, again, as a high schooler, I felt like it would help teach me the business skills that I wouldn't necessarily have, like the soft skills. So that was something, again, at a young age I knew was important or semi-important.
Okay. Got you. So Alabama A&M. So what did you decide to major in, and also follow up on when you say that, what made you decide to do that?
Got you. So I majored in electrical engineering technology at Alabama A&M. Again, historical black colleges is 107. Of the 107, only I believe 10 have engineering programs. So again, A&M was on that list of schools that had engineering programs.
That's fire. I didn't even know that.
So it was important for me, again, to be an engineer. I felt like two things. I was really good in science. Like even on like ACT, I scored high in the science piece. The other piece, I wasn't so good with science. I could do that. But I didn't want to necessarily be a doctor because I'm scared of blood. Sorry. And I didn't also know any cool career fairs I could do with science, just being honest with you. So I was like, engineer, okay, it's a little bit of science. It's problem solving. Again, I like to solve problems. it's just, again, it seemed like it fit. So I was planning to do computer, but we actually don't have computer as a major. It's like a concentration versus like a true major. So I just did electrical, and then somehow I ended up doing power distribution, which was something that one of the professors was just really knowledgeable about. So
okay, cool. So getting into engineering, of course, I know all about that. But how do you feel like that, like, kind of set the stage for you, like your professional career, and then going into your entrepreneurship career as well?
So engineers, again, end of the day, problem solvers. Whatever the problem is, we truly can solve it. We are able to take little bits of information and figure out the rest, like putting a puzzle together, so to speak. That's kind of what we specialize in. So what I found was a lot of those skill sets are transferable to anything else you can do, whether that's planning, like meetings or events, whether that's selling real estate. Like, literally, you understand, okay, if this is where the end result is, how do I get there? How can I make this process easier or more efficient? And that's really what I specialize in. While I was in the industry, I was a process engineer at the highest level, essentially from a quality management standpoint at the division level, which means I had 30 plants reporting into me, right? But I was able to learn processes and how to streamline them, make them better, faster, make more money off those things. So as a result, I could take that now and move that to any other industry. Yeah. And for me, what engineering was missing for me personally was the ability to affect people, like real individual people. Yeah, we made a lot of money with the companies, and our bosses were happy, but I wasn't having that individual people to people connection, which is why I think ultimately I needed to get in entrepreneurship, because I wanted to reach people, see the smiles on people's faces when, they feel like you did a good job or they got something out of whatever you're kind of providing services perspective. So for me, engineering was, again, something I'm passionate about. It taught me how to think, how to solve problems, how to manage relationships, so to speak. But it was something missing, whereas I didn't see the happiness in people's eyes. It was also oftentimes hard to explain to your parents what you do, because they was like, I don't know what that means. So, that's kind of, I think, what led me to entrepreneurship. Is I wanted something that, one, it's easier to explain, but also to see the happiness on people's faces and kind of finish those things. I
think it's important. I think that's why I kind of say to everybody, because everybody, when you ask them, or they ask what engineering is, it's hard to explain. Like, even system engineering. I was telling somebody earlier, like, they used to joke in school how we weren't even really engineers. Like, we used to have to deal with that all the time. And then I said, it's kind of crazy that, like, as every engineer, like you said, you were EE, but you really graduated into what we would probably define as a system engineer role with process engineering. So it's like, it ends up being like the end goal for, like, if you want to get into any kind of management, usually system engineering is what it ends up flowing into anyway. But yeah, no, I think, but I definitely can relate. I think that's definitely the stage I'm in now, is trying to figure out a way to use engineering, I guess, as like, the battery or the fuel behind everything, but the end goal to be entrepreneurship. Because I think, when you get out of school, you're just like, I need a bag. Like, that's all you can think of. You're not thinking of enjoying. It's like, all right, I went to school 4 years, I need a bag. For those that did have student loans, okay, how am I going to pay it back, etc. So you're literally just thinking about, like, that's your motivating factor. And then I think once you get to working a little bit and you kind of get free, that financial freedom a little bit, you're like, all right, I want to do something a little bit more fun too. So speaking of financial freedom, so I know a little about you, but for those that don't know, like, you made a lot of kind of early investments early. So talk about those and kind of what motivated you to make those certain steps as well.
Got you. Great question. Well, I guess I told you I went to school for scholarship. So that means that I essentially came out of school with no debt. So any debt I incurred was probably just me buying stuff. But also it probably cost me, if I'm being honest, maybe out of pocket, maybe $2,000 for 4 years of school, because it was really just, some extra books maybe I needed, or some random like fees or whatever like that. But pretty much my books were covered. For the most part, my room, my tuition. So essentially, I had no money need, and then of course you work internships, stuff like that. So for the most part, I came out of school with no debt. Of course, you get your first job, and I make all this money. Cool, let me get the most expensive apartment I can get, the best furniture. So now you're buying all this stuff, and it hits in like boom. So I would say what really happened for me is I had a credit card through, at the time, American Airlines, which was U.S. Airways at the time. So U.S. Airways. I had a credit card with them, and I had racked up some debt. I bought a big TV, like everybody does. Bought a big TV, Only thing I didn't buy when I first graduated was a car. I should say that. So everything, I bought a new couch, everything, furnished the whole spot. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Again, it's just me. Again, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever. So I furnished the spot, had a credit card, was going crazy, traveling, hopping on flights, all that stuff. You name it, I'm doing it. And I'm, paying down to my credit card, paying my card. And I'm looking like, dang, like this credit card ain't moving. Like I put my minimum thing was this, and I'm still paying more than the minimum. It ain't going nowhere. So what I realized at that point was the direction I was heading, I would be having a lot of debt, which technically is okay because I'm a high earner, right? But at the end of the day, why would I be giving money away? So I set out a goal to pay no interest, essentially. So I learned how credit cards work, how you got to pay them off in, basically 30, 45 days, all those systems like that. And that put me on trajectory to now, once to having zero debt, you can now invest in other things. But also I also knew like coming into industry, how like 401ks work and things like that. So for me, that's the first kind of investment I had was my 401k, and it was really just investing towards the match. That allowed me to later down the road to be able to get my first house, right? Because I didn't have the money just set aside to get a down payment, but I could borrow against my 401k, and it's a qualified expense. So that kind of let me down that rabbit hole. And of course, one house turned into 2 houses, 2 homes, 3, et cetera, whatever. So, but the key I think was investing my 401k, which led to everything else. And then when you learn what 401k is, obviously you invest in the stock market. So now you learn the stock market. So now you want to dibble and dabble. And at the time, like pretty much I lived in the middle of nowhere in New York, and it was only for 8 months, but I was just looking at different companies, and I would look at all the recent IPOs. So companies that recently just launched public. And I ran across Tesla at that time, and it probably was $20, I think 44 cents was what it was per share. But again, I didn't know anything about it. I just looked at the company name, seeing what they did. I Googled it, seeing the picture of the car. I was like, oh, I would drive this. All right, cool. Took $200, put it on there. Again, $20 a share, $200. You can do the math on that. Bought 10 shares, essentially, right? And I just left it, didn't do anything with it, forgot about it. Actually, the company was sharebuilder.com. I don't think they're even around anymore. In fact, I know they're not around anymore. They now are, I don't even know who which call it is, but it's now E-Trade, I believe. So it's now with E-Trade, and of course, Tesla ran up to $1,000 a share from $20 a share. Again, you can do the math on that. They did a couple splits, and now I have probably, again, that same $200, I think I have now 150 shares of Tesla. Price obviously is not as high as it was on this historic run, but still, again, I got 150 shares basically with $200. So it's one of my biggest investments in my portfolio. I still have some other cool stuff, mostly green. Again, for some reason, I have a good knack for what's a good company. But again, it all started with playing with 401k.
There it is. So I always be amazed when you tell that Tesla story, man, because I'm just like, man, what a company to roll the dice on to start out, man.
I mean, like, again, it's $200. Like I was gonna spend that in a weekend on drinks. Give it a buck. Like, you buy a round, I buy a round, we buy rounds. By the time 4th round, I spent $200. So it's like, let me put $200 on the stock market and just wait. And I waited, and I was like, oh, okay, this was a good idea. Yeah. So, I mean,
it's crazy. Even with the drink thing, it's funny, man. I was telling people, like for me, I always I'll break something down into a monthly expense. And so people are like, oh, I don't go out. I might go out twice a month. But when they go out, they have a time.
They go out. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was just like, yo, will you really break that down? Like let's say you buying about, most people, they're buying a bottle off of it, Patron usually, right? Mm-hmm. $50. $50 on 2 weekends, that's $100. Mm-hmm. Then let's say you spend $100 when you out. So now, at $100 2 weekends, you got $300. That's a car payment.
Easy.
And I was like, people, when I said that to somebody one time, they was like, damn, no, that's kind of right. And so I was like, that's how I break down every expense, bro. Like, all right, like even with food, like, all right, I spent $50 on DoorDash. Okay, now if I do that 5 more times this week,
that's a couple meals. There you go.
I do that all month. I spend $1,000 on food. I'm going, you know what I'm saying? So you have to, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I think. And I think even you mind sharing what age you were when you did those?
I'm trying to think. I might have been 24, maybe at the oldest, probably.
Yeah.
At the oldest, I was 24 because I graduated. I was like 22. So yeah. At 20, I was 24 at the oldest.
Yeah. So the reason I say that though is because I think a lot of times like people don't really think like they think it's too early or they also think it's too late. But I think if you can get in I always say that with the real estate as well. Like, if you can get in, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's too late, nor is it too early to do it. I think, like, I bought my first crib at 23, and I thought everybody thought I was like nuts, but like, ended up giving me the leeway to quit my job when I did, because we had the real estate. You did the live show for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And you like asked like what the average mortgage was right now. I was like, oh yeah, probably like 1,600. You know, like not too much higher. You know, and you like, nah, it's 2,500. I was like, 2,500. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but if I had bought my house the way when I did, bruh, I would not have been able to survive with that being the average rate right now. You know what I'm saying? So like the earlier you can invest, whether it's house, whether it's even if you can get a car earlier, is early. Like, you know, whatever, if you can, and you are in a position to keep it up, etc. Man, I say do it, because I think getting invested early is what really gave me the leeway. You know, the freedom to kind of move the way I move now, and invest and get right then finally fully like I wanted to. So, especially in 401k as well. Like, you know, and there's a lot of different expenses, whether it's borrowing for your house or borrowing to start a business, etc., that you can use 401k for as well. And investing in 401k and investing a good percentage early on. And remember we had that talk too when I was like, oh, like, yeah, they just throw some in there. I was like, nah, I'm put 0 on mine. He was like, Tyler, at least do one, please. Like, no. You know, but I came out just feeling like, he's like, man, I don't care about no 401k, you know, I'm good. So, but like the investment early definitely like set up stuff later, and it ain't till later that you realize it. So the quicker you can get in, the better. So I fool with that. But so you got your investments, everything. You mentioned something about real estate. So can you talk some about real estate, just as far as like managing properties, renting them out, different things like that?
Okay. Before I get to that, I'll say on the investment tip, what you're saying, everything essentially, think of whatever you're doing right now. If you can wait 5 to 10 years for it to grow, it should at least double at a minimum, right? So again, if I put $200 today and a couple years later I get 400, I didn't lose anything, right? Yeah. And again, in the immediate term, you could lose everything because the market goes up and down. It does that, right? But if I can wait 5 to 10 years, most likely it's going to grow, most likely. So again, it's not really luck. Sometimes, again, Tesla, the way it grew, that was definitely luck, right? But anything I would have did at the same time, if I would have put that much money, it still would have grown. Like, there's not too many companies that fail within that time frame from when I invested in Tesla to now. So I say that just, again, whatever, find something you're passionate about, pick it, and put a little money into it, and go do some other stuff, because you're gonna do it anyways. Again, the time is gonna pass you by regardless. But if you're not invested, you can't reap the dividends of that, right? Yeah. So, as far as management properties, I essentially self-manage most of my properties, so that makes it pretty easy. I have a Airbnb here locally in Charlotte, which again, it's been fun, been easy. I only had like 1 or 2 problem childs out of the whole time I've been doing it. So that's pretty good. But again, it's really just making sure the schedule is set, and you make sure you can clean at a good frequency, making sure the rules are in place, making sure the guests know where to go for close activities, and again, being able to answer their calls if they call. Again, just being ahead of the game. I think self-cleaning it is helpful because you get to, I know one is everything good or bad, but you also know what changes to make. So even if you want to outsource it later, I think in the beginning you should definitely clean it. The second thing is there are services that will do laundry for you. You don't have to do the laundry, so you put it in a bag, they come pick it up your doorstep. Definitely invest in those, because then it makes it easy for you. You can just worry about the other stuff. So that's pretty cool. For the other houses, I do have rental tenants actually in place. One of them came with a tenant. We actually have an interesting relationship. From my understanding is he wasn't necessarily the most on-time tenant with his rents. But for me, I always try to get properties and add value. So I immediately came in and said, hey, let me see what's wrong with the property. I identified some things, and I got them fixed. So he realized, okay, cool, he's not scared to spend money to make sure I'm living good, so I'm going to pay him back on time. That's kind of the goal. So because of that, I think it didn't work. We had a good relationship, whereas maybe he didn't have that similar relationship with his previous landlord. So I keep that aspect in it. My other property, of course, I found my tenant for me, and that wasn't difficult. Obviously, being a real estate agent, I have access to people. But again, that relationship has been pretty well. typically the main thing is you got to have people on speed dial to do stuff you need to do. So I have a plumber on speed dial because, again, you may have plumbing issues. Have a heating and cooling guy, again, because you're going to have heating and cooling issues. And then everything else, I do have a handyman I can use if I need anything else. I have a painter. So I have a few like key people on my team that can identify anything that will happen kind of overnight. And for the most part, I haven't got many calls at midnight about anything going crazy. So that's the good part about it. So I tell people you have like a 7-year window in real estate. If you come in and you fix the property up on day one, for 7 years, you should be able to live maintenance free unless you have tenants just tearing stuff up.
Gotcha.
So for me, that's kind of that sweet spot. So year 7, you need to now upgrade the facilities basically so you can be more modern, or you need to sell it. But you have like a 7-year window if everything is perfect on day one, where you shouldn't have to do anything.
Okay, good. So you kind of talked about it some. So let's talk about transition. So you were working engineering. You were working as an engineer. You said process engineer. And then it sounds like you got into real estate. So what made you graduate from corporate to say, hey, I'm kind of done with this. I want to get into selling. And it sounded like you were kind of already invested with properties and different things like that. But what made you say, okay, now I want to start selling homes?
It was timing, honestly. I was in grad school, and I was like, again, I told you my goal as a youngster is to own my own company. So cool. Yeah. What can I easily touch right now to do, and it can get me in direction of where I'm going? I should kind of, I guess, drop this here for the first time exclusive. My lifetime goal is to be a developer. I selfishly want to be able to name streets. I think that's cool, like to be able to name a street. So I want to be a developer. So real estate as a salesperson, which I currently am, is a means to get me to become a developer because I get to learn the ins and outs of real estate. Okay. But I would say I find joy in helping people get their homes. Like I love the process, to see their smiles, to see all the emotions they go through. Like it is an amazing thing to see. I guess it's like being a doctor and help somebody birth a baby, maybe. That's how I look at it, right? I feel that important. I don't know. But seriously. So I'd say that's kind of it. But so while I was in grad school, and this, mind you, I went to NC State for grad school, got my MBA, and I was like, I think I need to start working on my real estate license. So by the time I graduate, I'll have my license. So I literally was in the middle. You worked on it while you were in grad school? I was in the middle of grad school. I didn't know that. Middle of grad school, taking classes to become a realtor because I wanted to do that. Wow. So that was kind of literally when I got my license, and I passed my class in November. And I graduated 2 semesters later. So, my second to last fall. Yeah, my last fall semester, basically, I was taking it back. I graduated in the summer. So I had the spring semester, and then it was in the fall semester while I was taking it, then the spring semester, and I graduated that summer. Okay, gotcha. So, but yeah, I was literally in grad school. I got in real estate classes. And again, it was something I was passionate about because I remember when I purchased my house not having a great experience because my realtor, in my opinion, sucked. And I'll tell that story to him if I seen him today in this room, but that's how I felt. So my goal, as a problem solver, as an engineer, is to how can I fix that process for someone else? So I don't feel like the real estate process is difficult. You just need the information, right? So I feel like I was somebody who helped break down that information to give to somebody to make it easier for them to go through what I went through. And again, let them know it's attainable. I think I got my first house at like 27. So a little older than you, but definitely still young perspective-wise. But I felt like if I could do it at 27, a lot of people, they probably could have got it at your age. Yeah. So for me, that was important to bridge that gap. And even now when I work with people some people never thought they'd give on a home, or they've been together for years and they've been trying to figure things out. So I always feel really accomplished when I get to hear those stories and the feel-good stories that you hear. But like I said, I was something I would start working on when I was in grad school. And then I decided, of course, in grad school, they invite you out to all these different career fairs, things like that. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. I had a class where we were working on a project and we were going to actually try to build whatever we created for our project. And my classmates wasn't really with it. So I was like, cool, well, let me just go ahead and do the real estate thing because, again, it's something I'm already passionate about and I feel like I can make it work. So I've been doing it pretty much ever since. There
it is, man. So, I think so with me with real estate, I think I got mine. Actually, well, it was more because I was tired of working. I was trying to find a transition out. But it was actually right before COVID. So I think for me, it was also interesting because I came in a unique time, apparently, but because I was new, it was like my introduction to real estate, and it was just nuts during COVID when COVID hit. And so, and you got yours. So you got yours. How long had you had your license before COVID hit?
I got my license in 2018. End of 2019. I started practicing basically in 2019, for beginning of 2019.
So like a year before.
2018. So about a year and a half or so.
So how did that? So you basically had like a year and a half before COVID hit. So how did that affect you business wise? Like did it help, hurt, or?
Well, I would say having the experience that I had pre-COVID was helpful.
Okay.
First and foremost, I would say the market changed really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and it was scary to a point where you had to. So I should say, as an agent, I'm not a real pushy salesperson because I realized that one, you have the buyer have to make the payments. You have to love the house. People generally, if you buy a pair of jeans today, you have buyer's remorse. Like, no, I don't really like them jeans. So a house is very more serious, event. So I want to make sure that you like it, you love it. Don't be like, well, Tony told me to get it. No. I want to make sure that you want the house. So I'm not pushing you to do anything. So in the market prior to COVID, I could be my natural self, which is, hey, you like the house? Cool. You want to see 30 houses? We'll see 30 houses, right? In the COVID market, we might see 30 houses, but it's not because you want to see 30 houses, because the one we just left, somebody bid on it and we just got notification that it sold. So I had to be more pushy and I'm like, hey, if you really want this, hey, this is what we need to do today.
Yeah.
Right? Or this is what we need to do in the next hour. Like if this is something they really want. So I had to give more verbal commands. I still want you to make a decision and be okay with that. So what happened a lot of times is after people lost that first 2 or 3 houses that they loved, they got with the program and we were able to maneuver differently. But it definitely changed my communication style with my clients, because before it was more, okay, let me know when you're ready versus, hey, just so you know, they said they got an offer in the house today. If we want to make an offer, we can do it. If not, we're probably not going to be able to get it. So again, I had to be more direct with my communication. But ultimately, I think like due diligence changed too. So I had to have people, hey, you want to probably put a little more money up if you're serious about this house. So I had to teach my clients how to negotiate a little better versus how we'll make an offer and then, they'll tell us what they want. This is not that type of market. Like if you want it, you got to come here. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get it, and you got to be okay with not getting it. So again, it's a learning curve for, my clients and myself as we went through that process where things were selling in 4 hours. Right? Yeah. It was wild. Yeah. So
how do you feel like, so kind of incorporating both of them, how do you feel like becoming a real estate agent helped you kind of as a homeowner, and then like as well as helping you with your rental properties as well?
So as a homeowner, it helped me identify like what the changes are making. So like typically if you're a homeowner, if you want to live there forever, it's cool. You don't have to get a new house, but you know what upgrades are in the current market. I know, they got white cabinetry now. So do I want to paint my stuff white? Do I want to replace this? I'm getting a lot of design ideas, right? So I can make my house in a certain position. Also, if I'm looking to move, I know, okay, cool. These are the things, the trends I want to look for when I'm looking for a neighborhood. So I was more knowledgeable about the stuff that makes sense for resale and things like that. And then as a owner, like it didn't really help or hurt that side of it. I think it also let me identify most people who rent, they have maybe some unique situations, maybe challenged credit or maybe shoddy work history. So you have to identify who your ideal client is from a rental perspective. Okay. And not be like, hey, I want somebody with a perfect 800 credit score. If they had an 800 credit score, they probably wouldn't rent from me, right? Yeah. So it helps you kind of be realistic about what's going on with the kind of people are in the market. And now you can be more lenient versus saying, oh, well, I want the perfect tenant. Does the perfect tenant exist? No. But if you're a great landlord, people will take care of you. Yeah, and that's what I learned mostly and kind of being in those shoes. Okay,
perfect. So so we know about the real estate and everything, but I want to get to, man, the real business. Winter Escape, man. So Tony has, I'll let you talk about it. So Winter Escape is what, Tony?
Winter Escape is a young professional travel getaway. It happens every winter. It's been going on. It's coming here every year 15. Year 15, which is crazy to say. It started as just basically my birthday trip, and it's grown to what it has become now. Something where 200-300 people come a year, and people from different places in the country. Some marriages have formed, some business deals, a little bit of everything. It's definitely been a rewarding experience to see some people come with us who've never traveled before, to people who come with us every year. That's their annual getaway. It's in the beginning of the year, so they ain't got to worry about not having vacation days and all that stuff like that. It was some interesting years with COVID and kind of how that was going, but for the most part, we made it through. We actually, now I think about it, the year COVID started, we were the only trip that happened because our trip was in January. That trip is also special because I remember we were at the pool and we got the news that Kobe died and we didn't believe it.
Man.
We were at the pool like, bro, no, we didn't see it. It ain't been on ESPN yet. It was just TMZ. So we literally arguing like, no, they playing. But I'll say Winter Escape, again, is a fun travel event for young professionals. Again, this is in a 15th year coming up. It'll actually be in Montego Bay, Jamaica this coming year. We've traveled to like Aruba, Costa Rica, Carousel, part of Alado, Cabo, the mountains and Appalachians, up the road. So we've been a little bit everywhere, Vegas. But like I said, it's been just a good experience of helping people network and meet people in a non-professional setting, so to speak. We do have networking events, of course, DJs, photographers. Oh, shout out to our photographer, my boy Portier McCoy. He actually was featured in Essence this week. He did the pictures for PJ Washington's wedding.
Bro, I saw that. That's dope.
And he, like I said, he's one of our photographers for the trip. So like I said, a lot of cool people, a lot of great networking. Mostly 20-somethings. I'm probably the oldest person on the trip these days. But it started off as a young person's trip. So we kind of have that going for us. But yeah, I have an awesome team. Shout out to D, shout out Dominique, shout out to the rest of the committee. Awesome DJs. But like I said, it's definitely an awesome time. So think of like, I don't even want to do that. Think of
Fire Festival. Nah, just play.
Think of your favorite vacation you ever took with your friends, but 10 times that, because now you have your friends and everybody else's friends. So think of it that way. It's like I said, it's an event. It's a good time. We have an awesome time. And travel, I should say too, I've been in travel basically since I graduated undergrad. My uncle was a travel agent, and he kind of taught me the business, and he retired and said, hey, this is what you need to do. He actually was the planner for the first one. So, and again, like I said, been going on 15 years now. I believe this is the last one. So, it's been a fun ride.
Whoa,
It's been a fun ride.
Breaking news. Whoa.
I believe this is the last one.
Wait, why wasn't this announced before? What this?
But it's been a fun ride. So check us out.
Oh, goodness.
Just in case we have another one, winterescape.com. So you can figure out, again, if you want to travel, or at least we can put you in the right direction if there is not another one. I can't confirm it will or will not be. But I will say, as a planner, it's been increasingly difficult to plan groups travel because we are a large group. We typically take up about 100 or so rooms in a resort, which is significant. If you think of smaller resorts that don't have 100 rooms, like those are like 90-room resorts. If you get to a bigger 500, 600 resort, obviously then we're a small portion of that, right? But it's getting increasingly difficult because we went to the majority of Caribbean places that are travel friendly, especially for people that look like us. You do the math on that piece. So that's kind of where we are with it. Is we're trying to figure out the identity of the trip if it continues. Like where do we go from here? Some people, of course, have aged out of the trip. Obviously, do we go younger again? So I should say, I guess, Winter Escape, as we know it today, this is probably the last one, this coming one. Man. And the new phase, if there's a new phase, will start after that. But Winter Escape is probably done. So don't quote me, but quote me.
Here, breaking news. Breaking news. But before I get too sad about that, so let's talk about the start. Let's talk about the start. So with Winter Escape, so you said like your uncle kind of introduced you to it. So what made you go? I think you mentioned a little bit how it kind of started as a birthday trip. But what made you go? Okay, I'm gonna do this now. We're gonna turn it into a business. I'm gonna create a team around it. Like, how did all that form?
So the first one was basically a cruise. It was me, my friends. I didn't live, again, I'm from New York. I told you I went to school in Alabama. At the time, I was living in Illinois. So as you can tell, I move a lot. I live in North Carolina now. So I move a lot. So I everywhere I go, I get friends. I'm a friendly person, so I gather friends. So the first trip had 36 people from 6 states, the first one. So at that point, of course, we finished the trip. Hey, when's the next one? Everybody's asking. I'm like, it's the next one? I didn't know it was the next one.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of what happened is people wanted us to do something else. So as we transitioned from my uncle like planning their trips to me planning their trips, I was like, we need to come up with a name for the trip. So I sat down, say that loosely. We were sitting down, probably about to go out, and I was talking to Dominique and I was talking to Trip, and I said, yo, what y'all think about this name? I'm trying to, get this group trip thing going like fully. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh yeah, that name sounds cool. That's literally this. Oh, it sounds cool. So boom, it was born. So literally in the living room and doing nothing, and all of a sudden there's a name, and we went with it. So we actually built the brand pre-social media, which is weird to say as well. So there was no social media. It was, word of mouth, friends, emails, whatever. Facebook was around, but it wasn't like it is today.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the first thing. So we continued on like the cruise path for a couple years. We deviated because we wanted to get people on the slopes. We had 100 people to ski, to like actually get on skis or snowboarding. Like it was awesome. So when we did that, I was like, oh, we got something. We cooking with grease now. Like, if you can get 100 people not to just go on a trip to party, like no, they actually rented skis and snowboards. We had 100 people on the snow.
That is
so once we did that, I knew we had something. And then we went back to cruising for a little bit, and we was like, okay, cool. I think we've outgrown the cruisers by just getting feedback from the people, and we start going directly to destinations. Again, whether that's Jamaica, whether that's to Cancun, wherever it is, we went directly to destinations. And that's kind of when it started to blow up. And then around that time, social media started being social media, and we were able to get a hold of some awesome photographers and videographers, and that helped us kind of continue to grow and build the brand to where it is now. It sells out in a couple hours or 8 hours or so for those slots.
Nice.
So like I said, it's been a great journey. Like I said, I know I didn't expect it to be what it is now today. I'm glad that it has become what it has become. Like I said, I'm hopeful for the future of whatever the trip becomes as well as now. But like I said, year 15 is coming, so it's exciting. January 11th through the 15th, Jamaica, Montego Bay, we're there.
Gotcha. So what year do you feel like you became more organized? And like I said, now I know you have like other people that help you with organizing it, with photographers, videographers, actually having, itinerary and whole plan. Like, when did it become like more of an organized thing and not just like, all right, we're going to go here, et cetera, et cetera?
I mean, honestly, probably from the first ski trip we did, it was more it was more organization. Like we had people, we didn't know everybody was going because it becomes I'm friends of him or friends of her and I'm coming. So it's friends of friends on a trip. So for some people, it's their first time meeting me. So he wanted to make it where, one, it didn't seem like it was my idea. It was, hey, what do you guys want to do? So we want to have stuff that everybody wants to do, not what I want to do. So we get feedback, of course. We do surveys every year, of course, at the end of it to figure out what people like to do. And then I guess every year, we got more feedback. So we literally continued to update the trip, to change it. Because again, there's a lot of people who came, they've been at 5 in a row, or they've been at 10 in a row. So again, if they're making suggestions, they keep coming, we're going to make sure that they're happy.
Yeah.
So it literally has been continually, I guess, changing or getting better. And we also know, again, we're in the social media world. No, we didn't start our trip on social media, but we definitely should use it to help market and attract new clients and to help our people who even had a good time to be able to show their friends or whatever. This is what we did when I was on my vacation. So definitely was always looking for ways to help it. And I think as we learned social media, our trip definitely grew. But also when we got a large base in multiple states. So we were able to get a bigger group in Charlotte. We were able to get a bigger group in New York. We were able to get a bigger group in DC. So as we got more energy from certain cities, we were able to grow the trip as well.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. That's what's up. So first of all, I'm not missing any businesses, am I?
No, I think that's good. We covered the majority of it. We good.
But between real estate, corporate world, and Winter Escape, and then also just managing your properties, what do you feel like you get like the most enjoyment out of?
All of them, but different levels. Ultimately, like I said before in the beginning conversation, what I was missing in the engineering piece was the people piece. So
sure.
I get that in the travel, I get that in the real estate. So I get that aspect of it, which I missed. So ultimately, an engineer, sometimes you work on a project and take months to know if you did a good job.
For sure.
You have a weekend trip. You know by Sunday if you did a good job or it was terrible, right? You know, again, if we're going through a house process, it don't take a year to figure out if people like the house or you did a bad job. So I like the immediate feedback that we get in those processes, but also again, when people are happy, you see it, you notice it. You see people crying with tears. Like I never had this much fun, or I never thought I could buy a house. Like those are the things that make me like, yo, I really love doing this.
Yeah.
And sometimes the people give you bad, like, hey, it wasn't as smooth as I thought it would be, or hey, it wasn't smooth, but it wasn't on you. Like again, that feedback you get from your clients always helps you to feel like, okay, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm sure I could do something in some other industries too, but I think these are the things I think that speaks to what I like to do. And I said that shit at too. Like, people always say, well, what should I do? Yes, you can chase money, and money is important, but in my opinion, it's a thing. It's a vehicle. For me, it's what are you passionate about? So I was passionate about real estate, passionate about travel. So this is where things I said, okay, how can I make it more streamlined, a better process for people like me? Because it's people who want to travel, but their friends don't necessarily want to go. So you can go on a trip like Winter Escape where your friends ain't going, but hey, it's 90 other people that you can hang out with. So it was always trying to make that process easier, and that's what I found myself doing is re-engineering anything I enjoy. How can I make that better?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
It's a combination of, again, engineering, which is my mindset, to help anything I want to do, make it streamlined and better and easier for people who are like me.
Gotcha. Man, I love to hear it, and I think it's important what you said. I think sometimes, though, especially with a lot of black people, not all, but those that we don't really come up with that financial freedom, I think it'd be important to get that taste of financial freedom. And I think sometimes until you get that, it's hard to even identify your passions fully or really say, okay, I'm going to dive into my passions, because it's like I still want to get that financial free. I want to be free financially. I want to know what it feels like not to be paycheck to paycheck, different things like that. And so I think that's one thing I'll say as an engineer, that it gave me the ability to feel kind of early, where I was able to delve more into real estate and passions and podcasts, et cetera too. So that's one thing I wanted to note though. But anything else, man? Anything you want to shout out, man? I know you got a podcast as well, man. So you do it, like I say, he does everything. So
again, if I kind of like it, I'm gonna try it, and if I try it and I love it, I'm gonna keep doing it. So that's kind of how I roll. But again, just want to thank you for having me today. Again, I watched you grow, which is crazy. I've known him for a long time. Watched him grow from a young college student to the man he is today. So I'm proud of you. Want to say that, like, publicly on air. You definitely continue to grow each year with kind of just taking everything as it goes and then making something out of it. So definitely you're well on your way. You have the youth on your side that I don't have anymore. So use that to your advantage. But yeah, like I said, keep going, man. This is awesome. Again, studio, I'm glad to be here. And thank you for allowing me to be on the platform and just kind of share kind of my story. Like I said, it's been a great ride, and I think so one of my goals that I've kind of put out there for myself, and I haven't sat down and done it, is to write a book. So it's a couple different book ideas I have, and it's just really finding the time to do it. Okay. So within a year, I'm putting myself on the clock. Within a year of today, of this podcast recording, I'm going to have a book out, or maybe 2 books hopefully by then. But I'm going to at least have a book out, because it's something I've been saying I'm going to do. I think I have an interesting story from that perspective, but there's also some things I know specifically, step-by-step instructions that people will love and they could use over and over again. So put myself on the clock to get a book out in the next year.
You know what's crazy though? Like I originally wanted to write a book, and people said I hadn't done enough yet, so that's why I did the podcast. No, it's like no cap. That's really how this podcast started, is me wanting to write a book. People was like, you ain't done enough to write no book. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do a podcast.
Podcast is definitely a living book. So I mean,
I think that's
into a book. But I mean, I think you're always a step ahead of somebody. So there's something you can write a book for, and you just have to find the right audience.
For sure.
Even think of, I don't know, some of the books that we read from, like, say, financial leadership point. None of them is like hard information. It's definitely something. It's multiple ways that someone said something that somebody has already said. Yeah. But it's in your voice. So you have a unique voice. So you could always write a book. But again, so like I said, I don't agree with that, but I understand why people say that, right?
No. I was, when I was 23, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're probably right. But now I'm like, I should have wrote it back then. I'd probably be all right right now. But
But again, it could have been letter to your 23-year-old self. Again, you have a point of view that someone coming behind you can read. It may not be useful to people your age. That's cool. But someone either younger than you or older, you could, It was funny. Obviously, Kalia.
For sure. Shout out to Kalia.
I follow her on social media, of course. She's a doctor now. Shout out to her.
Yes.
She was presenting at a conference last week, and somebody in the audience showed her a slide presentation, and it was a picture of her as in one of the people you should know in computer science.
Wow.
And she was like blown away.
That's
and I'm
dope.
like, but that's dope. Teachers are teaching about you. Mm-hmm. And again, she has an awesome story. We can get into that later, but she has an awesome story just again being from West Charlotte and all that stuff like that. So
yeah, man, I'm glad I interviewed her for like the old podcast, but yeah, we're gonna have to get Kalia back. We're gonna have to get Kalia on the couch for sure.
So But yeah, like I said, definitely like I said, someone has a story that everybody can learn from someone else at the end of the day. So
yeah,
if you got a book, man, write it.
For sure.
Who's gonna stop you?
For sure. Ain't nobody gonna stop me no more, man. But yeah, man, you know I appreciate you coming today, man. Came through in the clutch for your boy. Now I gotta go home and get all this edited. But man, before you leave, you know I gotta have you here to get right then. Yeah.
I ain't got the vocals, y'all. I can't do it, but he got it. No, get right then. Definitely appreciate you having me on the couch today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Make sure y'all follow us, man, on Instagram and TikTok at Get Right Then LLC, and we'll get right back to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.